Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is always free, and I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Graystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, guys. I hope you've all had a nice week so far. If you're listening to this for the first time, this is the number one podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. And if you listened to last week's episode, I just want to say, I hope you really got a lot of value from that. And thank you to everyone who reached out and left me feedback and sent me personal voicemails and voice notes and messages on how that episode helped them out, because I was blown away by the response and the feedback for that particular episode. If you haven't listened to that, it's episode 77. Go back and check that out. But if this is the first time you've ever listened to this, I do recommend that you start at the beginning. You're going to get the most out of this starting at number one. I know I say this every week. If you're an avid listener, I apologize for repeating myself and sounding like a broken record. But as you know, the reason you're here listening to episode 78 is because you got so much value from that journey at the beginning. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be here. You would have tuned out and you wouldn't be listening. So I'm talking to myself at this point. But thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening. This really is a number one podcast. It launched, and when it launched, it went straight to number one. We knocked off Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tim Ferriss, all of the gurus that were on the top spots, and we remained there for about 6 weeks before we started to drop back down. If you share this podcast each and every week, it will help us to get stuck into that, the suggested page on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud and all that kind of thing. If you just keep leaving reviews, if you haven't left one, please leave one. If you keep rating the podcast, if you keep sharing the podcast, we will get back to that number one spot and we'll remain in the top charts, which is great because we can reach more people. But anyway, this week I wanted to talk about stocks, and not just stocks. Like if you listen to that and you think, oh God, no, I don't invest in stocks. I want to talk about the masses and how people are behaving at the moment. And it's a real nice follow-on from last week, because last week I was talking about people going down rabbit holes and not really knowing what their next move is. And at times of vulnerability like this, it's very easy for people to get led down the garden path by the people who have most conviction in their message, whether it's fluffy or backed up or congruent or real or not, whether it's scammers or marketers or whatever it might be. People get led down these garden paths and down these rabbit holes, and they waste years. It can shave years off of your financial freedom journey if you follow the wrong advice. So something that's cropped up lately is I'm watching all these YouTubers talk about Bitcoin, and I'm looking at all of the press talking about Bitcoin and the Twitter talking about Bitcoin. And I'm also seeing people talk about GameStop and AMC and all these kind of stocks that everyone's talking about at the moment. And you have to realize that when anyone, in fact, let me take you back. Let me talk about this GameStop thing, right? So GameStop, you might have seen in the news, everyone's talking about it. And the stock price has literally over the last week or last couple of weeks gone up and met kind of the Apple prices, right? The Amazon prices. And it's way overinflated. But you have to understand that hype has to come from somewhere, and most of the time, if not all the time, the hype is not backed up by anything substantial, and it is a bubble. It creates a bubble. Okay, so GameStop is literally just a bricks and mortar, or was primarily a bricks and mortar game swap shop, right? Like in the UK, we have CEX and we have Game, and there's some other shops where you can go in and sell your games and you can get new games, and that's all it was, right? Now, if you're only hearing about GameStop now in terms of stocks, or if you're only hearing about Bitcoin now because KSI or some YouTuber has mentioned Bitcoin, and you're now interested, you're perked up because it's doing so well, you have to understand, but by the time you've heard about it, it's too late. It's not a good idea. If you've heard about GameStop for the first time now, it's not a good idea to invest, right? The best time to invest is when people don't hear about it. So back in 2019, in fact, let me take you back to my Bitcoin again. Back in 2018, I had a comment on my Facebook group this week saying, what is everyone's thoughts on Bitcoin? You know, do you think it's going to continue to go up, or will it crash like back in 2018? Like that was a reason not to get in. Now, if you go back to 2018 when no one was talking about it, that is when I was talking about it. That is when I got in. Following the 2017 big dip, I was getting in 2018, and 2 years, 2 months later, when everyone's talking about it again, I'm out. I get out. So you want to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful, okay? And if you're just hearing about something and it's all over the place, it's usually not a good idea to get involved. So back in 2019, when it comes to GameStop, that's really when the strategy of that business started to shift and transform. There was a guy called Michael Burry who, back in 2019, he identified that particular business model. It was the lowest stock price it had been in history, and he thought it had potential. He thought it had been undervalued, and he kind of had the foresight to see that Sony and Microsoft were still continuing to release games. Okay, so over the process of the forthcoming years, they basically put in a model to convert most of their business to online, right? So they're almost becoming the Amazon of games. And there was a few investors at the early stage that put that in place. That was two years ago, or 2019, right? Here we are in 2021, and the price has been recognized by everyone because it's gone up such a dramatic increase. But on top of that, you've also got hype built in, right? And you've got the mass market that just they're driven by the fear of missing out and the greed of capitalizing early. And on top of that, there's a whole of the Wall Street traders and the institutions and the prop firms. They're just having fun with it. They're playing the price every day, so it's manipulated that way now, and it's not a realistic price of what that company is worth. And by the time you've heard about it, as I say, it's way, way too late. You're buying into a bubble. You're literally, I don't know if it's going to continue to go up. It might continue to go up, but it's definitely not worth what it's priced at the moment. And the chances are it's going to crash down very, very soon. And if you're trying to dabble in that, it is incredibly risky, right? Even if you're looking to short the trade or short the market, it's very, very risky if you don't know what you're doing. As I say, it was the same for my Bitcoin trade. People getting in now, they're interested in Bitcoin now. It's just like they were interested in early 2017 when we saw the rally, right? And then 2018, no one wants to talk about Bitcoin anymore. That's when I'm getting in. Same with the investors in GameStop. They're getting in when no one's interested. The stock price is the bottom that it's ever been. It's the lowest point it's ever been. But if you understand how to identify a low value stock and you understand the principles behind intelligent investing, and understanding the story behind the business and knowing what the business is about and the products and knowing how they run their business and understanding the financials behind the business and then looking at the quality of the business, when you can do that, and that gives you foresight, and that allows you to approach the market as an intelligent investor, and that's when you put in your money. But guess what? No one's talking about that stock then, and that is the best time to invest. So first of all, never, ever, ever take stock tips from anyone. Not Warren Buffett, not anyone, right? No one. Not Charlie Munger, right? No, don't take stock tips from anyone. No YouTuber, right? The YouTubers and the people out there that are influencing kids right now are talking about Bitcoin, and now the buzzword is Bitcoin. Guess what? That's because it's just had a big rally. That is not because it's a good time to invest. It's the worst time to invest. If you can learn anything from what's just happened in the markets recently, I think it's that investors will start to pay a bit more attention to like community sites like Reddit and the other forums that are really kind of building traction, but not from a qualitative point of view. That's just from a trading point of view. It's speculation. It's not from a seasoned investing standpoint. It's not from a qualitative investing standpoint. It's purely from a speculative trading standpoint. Okay. So what this podcast is about is financial empowerment. What I encourage you to do is not listen to anyone else. And if you've heard the buzzword, it's too late for you. What's better is to understand how to identify the right time to invest. If you're looking to invest in stocks, you need to be an intelligent investor, and you need to be looking at all the qualitative aspects of that stock, and you need to be looking at the measurable metrics and the financial story and the quantitative metrics and analysis of that particular stock. You need to be answering a set of questions that allow you to get into an investment as an intelligent investor. You need to be looking at the business model. You need to be looking at the products. You need to make sure that you understand the business model and understand the products. You need to look at the brand, and you need to look at the loyalty, the customer loyalty, and the actual product in terms of, is it forever changing? Is it remaining the same? Are they selling the same thing that they were selling 10 years ago? Is it a model that just will work and it will stand the test of time? So you need to look at the stability of the business. Then you need to kind of look at the long-term plan of the business, right? From a qualitative point of view, you need to say to yourself, would I be happy to own this business? Am I happy? Would I love to own a piece of this business? Because that's essentially what you're doing. And then on top of that, there's all the quantitative stuff. Right, so you're looking at you're looking at the income statements. You're really gauging to see if you're getting a good deal for that particular stock, if it's undervalued. You need to be looking at the PE ratio, the PB ratio, the debt to equity ratio. You need to be looking at the return on equity. You need to be looking at the long-term debts and the earnings, right, to see that if any long-term debts can be paid off quickly. You need to be looking at the earnings per share. All of that kind of stuff you need to look at to form an intelligent story of a sophisticated investor, okay? And I can promise you the only time that you'll get a tick on each of these things is when no one is talking about the stock. When everyone's talking about the stock, the intelligent investors are cashing out and making money. That's it. So really the message for this one is, if you've heard about it, it's too late. Or if you've heard about it, it's not the right time right now. Okay? Wait. Learn. Empower yourself. Understand how to invest in stocks properly. And remember that anything that you don't empower yourself in, you will be pushed around by others by. Exactly what's going on right now. If you don't empower your health and your fitness, you'll be pushed around by fad diets and people selling fad DVD lose weight things, fat loss things. You'll be pushed around by bullies calling you fat and all this kind of thing. If you don't empower yourself financially, you'll be told what to do by a boss, and you'll have to work for someone and be told what to do every day, and you'll be told how to spend your money and how much tax you can pay and all this kind of thing. If you don't empower yourself from a wealth point of view, an investing point of view, you will be pushed around by YouTubers, hype, people promoting Bitcoin, people telling you to invest with them, and you'll have the only people that win out of that is them, not you. Okay? So if this has resonated with you, if you've got value from this and this has opened your eyes and kind of steered you back on track, and you're more interested about learning about stocks, I do recommend that you get into my free Facebook group. My Facebook group is tiersofreedom.com/mastermind, and we run frequent workshops and videos inside that group all about the detailed analysis of stocks and wealth creation and investing. So get into the Facebook group if you're not already in there. When you get in, there's a little bit of a waiting list, but when you get in, tell us, say hi and say, I found you through the podcast. I'd love to have you in there. And do yourself a favor, right? Move forward in your wealth creation journey and not backwards. So a bit of a shorter episode this week, guys. I just wanted to drill that home because I thought it was a nice follow-on from last week. And I think, it's a message that needs to be said right now. It's very timely. This podcast won't be relevant in terms of GameStop in a year's time, but it'll be relevant in terms of the principles behind it. So if you got value from this, please leave a review on iTunes. Please give us a rating. And until next week, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.
Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.